5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level up, level up, level up, level up. So yeah, yo, let's go. What's going on? What's going on, peeps? Yeah, welcome to the Good, the Bad, the Ugly podcast. Blah 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 blah. I'm here to talk about gross misconduct hearings. As you know, I've been putting on my story time about the officers. I'll be looking at officers that haven't been named, and most of the time, quick recap. Most of the time, if an officer's not named at the beginning of the group, like of the summary that you see on the website, that normally means they kept their job, because they're going to give them anonymity because they didn't find them as guilty. But what I've found, just doing my reading about, that's not always the case, because normally if you see the name, they got fired, because the Met are like, bun them, let's bait them up. Cool, nothing against that, to be honest. But what I've found with my research is that the Metropolitan Police have done it for people that have also lost their jobs, which is a bit mad, because if this is what a lot of people kicked off about with the officer that with Chris Cabba, agree with it or don't agree with it. There's loads of officers that say shouldn't be named, and people say that he shouldn't be named, and people that say he should. Whatever, I don't care. I'm not here to talk about that. That's just an example of one of the things that happen. Normally, if you get charged with an offence, unless you're under the age of 16, sometimes it was 18, well, 16, 18, whichever, considered a child, they'll be like, you know what? Nah, we're not going to do that. And also, if there's a significant element of risk in which they're like, oh yeah, we don't really want to name them. But that's once you've been charged. And it's kind of like, cool, get it. But this is just misconduct. This is and these are ones where people are not going to prison for it. So they're not found to be guilty of a crime, but the police have said, bun that, we want to find you guilty anyway. And yeah, I'll probably get misconduct for saying that, because the police will say, no, that's not what we do, it's a procedure. And I'm saying your procedure is dead. It's rubbish, it doesn't work. And Baroness Casey also said says it too. So bun you guys. So yeah. So we've got another case of an Officer X, and I initially shot this video, and what I do is I just start reading, I go through it with you guys, give you a quick rundown, because I know the bits that I need to generally get to, because I've read enough of them, and I give you the rundown, and I give you the outcome summary, and I give you a little overview, blah, 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 blah. But this one, I already started shooting, and as I was going through it, because I just do it live, anyone knows a joke, but yeah, I'll just do it live, I'll just go through it, blah, 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 with you. This one started to get a bit mad, and I was like, rah, this is a bit mad. And it started going sideways, and then it sounded really familiar, and then it's emotional. You're like, you did this to this guy? Mad. I feel sorry for the guy now, because he must have gone through the most difficult time of his life, all because, and I'm not even gonna blame the woman. It's not her for she has done what she feels is right, fine, whatever, I don't care. I'm not gonna call her a liar or nothing. I'm solely laying the blame at the Metropolitan Police's at their feet, at their doorstep. You see me? Because at the end of the day, as you'll find out in a second, if someone is found not guilty, not even not guilty, he doesn't even get to a point of a charge. He didn't get charged. Yeah? He got NFA'd. The police submitted it to the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, who are the lawyers, the barristers that go, yeah, we will charge with this because we're probably going to win, or no, we're not going to do it, or it's in the public's interest that we do this, blah, blah. Whatever their decision, whatever their threshold is, they make the decision. A lot of the time it's like, well, if we're going to win, let's go. And if we're going to lose, they do fight losing cases, but hey, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here simply, they said, nah, B, you ain't got enough evidence, so if this is all you've got, leave it alone. And what normally happens is when that happens with the police, so someone makes an allegation against PCF, or it's found that he didn't do it, so the police leave it. The police go, we're going to do an internal investigation. They normally do that anyway for everyone. But what they do, what they're supposed to do, is they're supposed to find all the information and then make a determination if there was gross misconduct. Yeah? That's what they're looking for, gross misconduct. Because normally, well, I say normally, but there's a thing called malicious allegations, which, the police should be used to, but for some strange reason, they still take it to gross misconduct. But what's happening a lot is that we're finding that the police are just going, bun that officer. We're gonna drag him through the gross misconduct, which, as you know, Baroness Kesey's review clearly shows it takes up to 400 days on average. So from the point in which you get told it's actually going to be gross misconduct, and that could take years before they even say it is, then you go to a hearing, it takes 420 something days, 30, I don't know the actual number, it's 400 something days on average. That's negating the parts before. So my man could have been arrested, my man could have, like, all that stuff, the arrest, the NFA, that's all before the gross misconduct. So that could have taken a year in itself. So we could be on year 2, 3 or 4 by the time they're like, oh yeah, gross misconduct. So I've just set the scene for you, yeah? It's an officer, domestic kind of related situation. There's been allegations of violence or threatening behavior from his partner, his ex-partner. They have kids together and they've made an allegation to the police. So we're gonna read from there. Yeah, here we go. Officer X outcome summary. Let me hold it here so it looks like I'm at least looking at the camera. Officer X outcome summary. Misconduct hearing outcome. So this was on the day of the hearings on the 27th to the 30th. So they set us an amount of days for it because it's not really going to get done in one day. It can be if someone just goes, yeah, I did it, and that's it. Like, yeah, I did it. They've accepted it. Blah blah blah. They make a decision, but that's not always the case. So they set 3 days out. 27th to the 30th of November 2023 and 20th of December 20. Oh, they've separated it. Okay. Oh, maybe I don't know why they've done that, but yeah. Summary. The panel chair, Mr. Cameron Brown, legally qualified chair, considered all of the evidence provided by the appropriate authority. The appropriate authority is going to be normally a commander in the Metropolitan Police, the witness, and from the officer. Mr. Cameron Brown found the allegations not proven and determined there had been no breaches of professional standards of behaviour. Allegations were found not to be proven. So that's the little blurb that you get. I don't know if you can see the phone, but that's what you get on the Metropolitan Police's website, yeah? That's all you get, yeah? And that's how it is for everyone. So, and then you click on the link and it takes you to that full summary outcome. When I initially looked at this, I thought, oh, 1 page. And when you look at it, you'll scroll down a little bit and you'll be like, oh, it's only 1 page and it's done. Because it makes sense, because you read the beginning and it says, oh, he's found not to be guilty. So you've got the allegation. This is mad. So you have to deep what's actually happening here. So you have the introduction, blah, 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 blah. They give you the allegation. The allegation is, there's 3 and 4 of the allegation. The panel was referred, so I have to zoom in because my eyes are bad. The panel was referred to Regulation 30 notice in respect of Officer X and the allegations that his conduct amounted to gross misconduct, blah, blah, blah. In particular, it was alleged that Officer X had breached the following standards of professional behaviour as set out in notice, blah, 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 blah. I'm reading parts that don't matter. From about 2015 until 2020, you were in a relationship with A, so that's going to be the woman who's not going to be named, with whom you lived from about 2017 to 2020. You are the father of B and W by Mrs. A and of O of a different mother. So he's got 3 kids, 2 of them with the woman that's made the allegation. In the course of the relationship, you engaged in controlling and coercive behaviour towards Miss A, including assaulting her physically. In particular, 1, you told her if she ever left, she would never see the child again, daughter. I don't know why just the daughter, but that's mad. During the course of the relationship, you would refuse to look after B if Miss A, so if you'd refuse to look after one of the children if mum wanted to go out and led her to not having a social life. So that's part of the allegation. Mum's basically saying, oh, he wouldn't let me go out, which I always find strange. And I'm not here to demonise mum or victim or suspect or whatever. Me personally, I always find it strange when people say, this person didn't let me do this because they wouldn't help me do that. I'm just like, babysitter fam, done. But not everyone has those facilities, and I understand that. So, but just me, my personal thought, I'm just thinking, I'm cutting. But not everyone's the same as me, and I understand that. On several occasions, you waved a knife around, frightening her. On one occasion in particular, while you were making yourself and your daughter a sandwich, she asked if you would make one for her and for her son or daughter, to which you replied, ridiculing her and waving a butter knife around. You had done this on several other occasions using a screwdriver and bread knife. So apparently my man just waves around tools saying, wagwan. For the New Year's party in 2019, you didn't allow her wifey to, or ex-wifey, to invite any of her friends or any of her family. In August 2000, at a campsite in Great Yarmouth, during an argument, you grabbed her around the hair with one hand and pulled her around I'm not going to read all of this stuff out because imagine the person, the victim's listening to this. They don't want to hear it again. So I'll just summarize it quickly for you guys. Nursery school pickups with children. You came up and grabbed her when you were at nursery. You persuaded her to put you told her to put 5k into a joint account. Whilst pregnant, you were driving recklessly and crashed. I need to give you these because these matter, because we're going to go over the evidence for them. So just bear with me, peeps. You threatened her by saying you would leave her if she complained or said anything because you're a police officer. Might I add, police officers don't really talk like that. I'm going to be real with you. I'm yet to hear really people be like, I'm a fed, so you can't, okay, caveat for people, yeah? Being a police officer is a weakness. It's not a strength. It's a weakness for all of us. Because all it takes is someone just to go maliciously, he touched me, he did this, he punched me, she slapped me, do you get me? They robbed me 7 years ago. Haters can just do that, so it's a weakness. So when people come and go, oh yeah, they said that because they're a police officer, no one believed them. Every police officer knows that, not knows, but we have the same line of thinking, BS, because we get in trouble for nothing. So why would we run that and be like, oh yeah? Not to say it can't happen. I'm just saying it's just it's a bit mad. On the 8th, 20th, 2020, blah, 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 said that you were like, oh snap. You said that she was just like all other bitches. So basically just verbally abusing her, making her feel a bit shit. So there were a whole host of preliminary issues with this, yeah? Is that a number of rulings made by relation to witnesses, which is mum, in particular in relation to the officer, the complainant and the various children mentioned in the case, they are subject to separate writings rulings. So basically they were in family court as well. So it's a bit weird because from my understanding is the Metropolitan Police can't take information from family court. Well, they shouldn't, or they're not supposed to get involved in civil matters, but the Metropolitan Police don't care about that. So just know, if you're a police officer watching this and you're going through family issues and you're under misconduct at the same time, unfortunately, the Metropolitan Police will do, they will get involved, whether it's them talking to Kafkas or the court or whatever. They will send emails, I wouldn't say dumping on you, but they're not going to help you. So just know the DPS will do those kind of things and you'll find out and you'll be salty as hell. But I'm just letting you know that that's the kind of stuff they will do. They will do. So forget all of that. The Metropolitan Police don't get involved in civil matters. They 100% do. Whether they should or they shouldn't, whether they get in trouble or not, they do. On the first day of the hearing, so we're going through the preliminary issues. X produced a number of documents which he wished to put to Miss A. The appropriate authority conceded their relevance, but wished for a further statement to be taken by Miss A. The panel agreed for A. So basically, what they're just highlighting is sometimes people come with evidence and stuff, and the legally qualified, the chairs will look at it and be like, is it relevant or is it necessary for us to bring this? Because I've been in some where they're like, oh, we need a statement from you, from the victim, the alleged suspect, which is normally the police officer, obviously, and they just go, do you know what? You've just given me a 75-page statement. That's too long. You have to redact it. Which, in essence, is actually quite unfair, because if they're telling their story the best they can, and someone's gone, well, you know what? Bun half of what you said. I only want 10 pages. And you're like, rah, I'm supposed to condense my whole experience to 10 pages. Imagine it's something over a period of 5 years, and someone said, and you can write in detail what's happened, and they said, nah, you've got to trim it down to 10 pages and you had 70. So these are some of the issues that they have, which is, it's not fair, especially to the officer, but it can happen both ways, I guess. But, you know, one person's fighting for their job, their livelihood, maybe their house, their family, blah, blah, blah. And the other person who is considered a victim, but they're not because it's gross misconduct, is just there to make sure that you do get fired. Even though you've been found NFA in this case. So they had an issue with the the officer produced separate stuff, like he's produced evidence in separate bundles. They wanted it in a certain way, blah blah blah. But a lot of the stuff is circumstantial. It's just like, yeah, blah 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 blah. So we will skip. We'll go through the evidence because these are bits that I didn't go through before, and it's probably necessary that I did. So we'll just touch on them now. The panel was referred to the original bundle of documentary evidence, 110 pages. The panel was also provided with the following: a video recording of this interview. So they've so what they do, so it's happened to me before, they will video record your criminal interview. And what they will do is they'll be like, oh, look, the DPS or their solicitor, barrister that they have will be like, oh, he wasn't even remorseful, my man was laughing, he said this, he said that. And they will draw inference, and they'll just be a bit waste manish and be like, oh, well, you know, if he was really remorseful, he would have cried. I'm not saying that is literally what's said, but you know, people's biases play into these kind of things, and it's not really fair. But because, as I can say, I know, like, I've been in enough interviews where I've seen the most gangster roadman, blah blah blah, who's just stabbed someone or whatever, break down and cry. And I've seen some of the most humble guys that you're like, this guy's gonna snap, just hold firm and just be like, nah, B, I'm not saying nothing. And they could be up for the wildest stuff. So it's not always the way that you think it is. There's days you walk in there, you're like, yep, this person's gonna fold and tell me everything, and they just don't. And they just sit there. And some days people just start crying because they're emotional. So to take any relevance from how they acted in their interviews, remember, people are traumatized when you're interviewed. I've been interviewed myself. Do you get me? And the way I responded is the way I normally respond to most things. But not everyone's going to respond the way that you expect them to if they were guilty or innocent. As set up above, a consolidated defense bundle, blah, 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 46 pages. The panel heard from the following witnesses: Miss A and Officer X. So there wasn't any other witnesses that they listened to then, because what can also happen is that they'll bring other people in, and I've seen it, next door neighbors, friends, cousins, sisters, cats, dogs, all of it, and they sit there and they give their evidence, but they're also cross-examined. The facts. In considering the facts, we make it plain that the panel reviewed and considered the entirety of the evidence presented to us, which you're supposed to do. Officer X is a Metropolitan Police officer for over 21 years. Officer X and Mrs. A were in a relationship from 2015 to 2020. Daughter, and a son, and another one. Miss A left the family home, so we're getting to the juicy bits now. Mum left, I'm just going to refer to her as Mum because it's just a lot easier than Miss A. Mum left family home in 2020, relationship finally ended 2020 early, 2021, albeit on the evidence presented by the officer and the photographs and the Google timeline, and the parties remained on good terms in the period April to November 2020. It was alleged that the coercive and controlling behaviour had commenced following the birth of child. So that's a bit mad. So they're saying he's got evidence that their man will call even after they broke up. And she's saying, well, throughout the relationship, you've been abusing me. On the 12th of December 2021, as reported to Essex Police, that she had been the victim of domestic abuse. So look, after they've broken up, she's reported abuse, which normally happens, and they highlight this within the summary. And I might not even read that part, but I'm just letting you guys know that that does happen. Just because people allege after doesn't mean it's any less true. And we understand that. But timing does kind of matter in certain circumstances. She alleged that the police officer, Mum alleged that Dad had engaged in controlling coercive behaviour, including physically assaulting her, as set out in Regulation 30 notice, blah, blah, blah. The allegations were made 18 months after the relationship ended and were made in the context of acrimonious family court proceedings relating to their children, which have now concluded. So if you don't understand what I just said, and I want to stop shouting, it is this. They broke up, things were calm, they went to court for the kids, she makes an allegation. I laugh, it's not funny, I'm not laughing because, yeah, you know I'm laughing. Police officer was interviewed under caution on the 29th of April, 18th of September 2022. We don't know if he was arrested, we can assume that he was. His answers in interview largely mirrored his Regulation 31 response. He confirmed, Interesting. So, okay, so reason I've stopped is because he's made a Regulation 31 response, which is misconduct, I believe. That means they would have handed him misconduct before he got arrested, which is a bit mad, but I don't know, maybe that's a thing, but he confirmed that or at least he got interviewed, he confirmed that mum had no restrictions in terms of attending social gatherings and play groups. This is in relation to the allegations of what she was saying that he did. He confirmed that mum had no restrictions, blah, 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 blah. They used to go out regularly as a family together. He had changed his work schedule to help out caring for the children. He confirmed that mum had her own funds in her own bank account. He had paid off debts on her credit card and not asked for return of the funds. So he's basically saying, what are you lot on about? I facilitated parts of her life. We were in a normal relationship. She had her own money. She didn't need no money from me, because what controlling coercive behavior is, they like to go on the whole financial tip and be like, oh, you didn't allow her to make money, or you put all the money, and this stuff does happen. So although I make that face, this stuff does happen. Oh, you said that all her money has to go into a bank account, and not all your money goes into the bank account, and she gets an allowance and stuff like that. That stuff is real. So no criminal proceedings were brought against the officer following the conclusion of the criminal investigation in 2022. In particular, a decision to take no further action in respect of the alleged assaults was taken at an early stage. The allegations of coercive and controlling behaviour were referred to the CPS, who decided not to proceed with the case on the grounds that there was insufficient evidence to support the prosecution. And I know some people may get triggered by this and say, oh, the police don't ever prosecute people, the CPS don't prosecute police officers for domestic stuff, blah blah blah. Hey, it's really hard unless you've got like proper evidence, i.e. he's hit you and then you take pictures of it immediately or within a time frame, and you can kind of back up with some sort of evidence. Then they're not going to take it to court, unfortunately, because it's so hard. That's why normally if someone like, my advice, if anyone ever hits you or assaults you, call the police straight away if you can, please. And also, if you are damaged, if it's GBH, that you've got missing teeth, broken nose, whatever, take pictures of it at the time, because that helps a lot. Do you get me? The panel generally, we're back to allegations. Oh wait, no. Sorry, I forgot the interesting bit. An ex parte non-molestation order was issued by family court on the 11th of July 2022 on the basis of mum's statement. The order was included in the panel's bundle. You see what I'm saying? They will take into consideration stuff in family court. The court made no findings of fact, and the order was no longer in force as of November 2022. So from June, July, August, September, October, November. So that non-molestation order would have been in force for 4 months. Don't know why. I wouldn't want to speculate. The parties had resolved the family proceedings on agreed terms. The panel therefore gave the fact of the making of that order little weight. Guys, let me explain what ex parte is. When a non-molestation, and this is what it feels like the DPS can't wrap their heads around, because I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm here now. They can't seem to understand ex parte, and stop clapping, can't seem to understand ex parte applications for non-molestation orders. So let me educate you a little bit. From my understanding, ex parte non-molestation orders are done ex parte without the other person's knowledge. Some of the reasons for this is off the top of the head, so I may not be 100% right in what I'm in the words, but generally I know it's because of this. It's because if they do tell the person, the suspect, other person, that I'm making this order against them, they will stop me or I won't go through with it because I'm scared. You feel me? So if you tell this man that I'm doing this, I'm not doing it. So what the court say, and rightly so, they go, all right, cool, fair enough, I'm going to give you this option to do it without telling him, because normally what happens is you make the application, the other side get it and go, nah, this is all BS, blah, 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 and they get to make their own representation, and then the court will go, let's look at it, blah, 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 well, he said this, she said he slapped her in Jamaica, he said I've never been to Jamaica, and they're like, nah, that didn't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but when you do ex parte, it removes that. What the court just go is, they just say, all right, cool, she's in too much or he's in too much danger So we're just going to enforce it until we get to court. It's not a thing of guilt. It's not there saying he is guilty, so we've done it. It's saying I'm protecting them, her, him, whoever, because they made the application. And if I don't protect them, they're not going to do it. So I have to protect them. And that is 100% a thing that needs to be in place. But it seems as though the Metropolitan Police, although they took it in little weight, because what you got to remember, the legally qualified chairs, the chairs of this are normally barristers, or they're in the they understand the system. When they'll see the ex party and they'll just be like, it was ex party. And then when the judge finally saw it, he said, nah, let's get rid of this. So that's why they'll take no weight behind it, little weight. They'll just be like, nah, because I could get an ex party for anyone right now. I mean, obviously I'd be lying, I guess, but it would still more than likely go through if you if you word it the correct way for the judge to feel as though there's enough fear or threat against you. So yeah, the DPS don't seem to understand it, or maybe they do and they're just malicious. I think they're just malicious waste men, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's just me being emotional. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to skip through the allegations because there's plenty of allegations here. The panel generally noted that the following in the relation of the allegations, which did not assist the case for the appropriate authority. The allegations had not been made see, this word always gets me. Contemporaneously. And anyone that doesn't understand what contemporaneously means, I mean at the time of it happening or close enough at the time. So it's like, he slapped me, so I'm going to write down a statement within that week, I guess. While allegations of coercive and abusive behaviour are frequently made at a latter stage in the context of abusive relationships, here the allegations had been made during the course of contested family proceedings. In December 2021, a considerable period after the time of the alleged conduct was said to have taken place. So this is why we need legally qualified chairs, because the Metropolitan Police, I guarantee you, would have simply the Metropolitan Police would have simply gone, oh, well, she made this allegation. And depending on the officer, because there's a bunch of officers that would just go, well, why did you wait 8 months? Like, I get you left him 8 months ago, and now you're in court with him beefing him over your child, which clearly both of you probably really, really, really love and want to see. And all of a sudden now he's an abuser. And what the legally qualified chairs has gone, they've just gone, exactly what I've just said, they've just gone, so you're telling me it's just a coincidence that you're in court, family court, and you both want to win, and this will be looked at, they'll draw inference of the fact that he's an abuser, and just conveniently you're just saying it now. Like, that seems a bit fishy to me. And it would seem, because if you remove the part of her being in family court, they probably wouldn't have they would have been like, doesn't matter, she can make it 8, 10, 12, 3 years later. But it's just a bit convenient that you're going to weaponize something at the time of being in court, which will make the other person look bad. That's what they're saying. That those family proceedings had resulted in an agreement outcome allowing for substantial unsupervised access between dad and the children, the panel noted that the agreed arrangement was generally inconsistent with Miss A's allegations of violence against the officer. See, so they're just getting to the crux of it. They're like, and this is probably what the CPS said too. The CPS but we'll never see, because you're never gonna get that out of the DPS. The DPS will just be like, oh yeah, well, sorry, they didn't charge, and that's the end of that. But don't worry, they'll just trash the CPS and be like, oh, they just didn't want to do it, blah 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 blah. Instead of telling the truth and saying, well, actually, there's inconsistencies with this. Your investigation was trash. There's not enough evidence. If you don't bring me more, then no, we're not doing it. NFA them. And this happens. Like, as a police officer, I can tell you, the CPS will talk to you. The CPS are like this. You ring them up, you stay on the line, you put them on loudspeaker because you can just go and do whatever else, because it'll take about an hour before they answer the phone. And then they answer the phone, depending on who, like, they're generally nice people. Sometimes they've been up all night and they're a bit grumpy, but it is what it is. And you basically just explain to them the whole case, all the evidence that you have, and you can send it over to them, blah, 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 blah. And what they will do immediately, because, like, if you've been in the job long enough, you know what they're going to ask for. Do you have CCTV? You know that they want, do you have, like, ironclad evidence of this happening, basically? Do you have recording, CCTV, admissions, anything like that? And if you say no, the next one they're going to say is, can you get them? And if you go no, then they go, then they they'll read through some more. And what they do is they pick apart your whole investigation. That's why certain people don't like ringing the CPS. And the reason being is because they just destroy your whole investigation in front of you down the phone, and you're made to listen to it by someone just absolutely rinsing you out and saying, wait, and they will read your statement while you're there. You'll be on the phone, they'll just be like, your head and mumbling through it. They'll stop at a line and say, so what you're saying, officer, is that you have no evidence, and this statement is so poorly written that they haven't even given a proper allegation. There's no day, date, time, blah blah blah, and they'll just pick you apart. Like, if they're in a bad mood, they'll rinse you. They'll rinse you. Certain people are just like, I'm not ringing CPS, and other people are just decent with it. Me, I chat to them because they're just normal people, but I understand the reluctance to speak to the CPS at times. Yeah, so I understand. I totally understand why certain people would just be like, nah, don't want to do that. Next, that in relation to most of the allegations, there was generally a lack of independent evidence supporting the AA's case. So, okay, guys, come on, DPS, man, guys, come on, man. Listen, the CPS have done told you. There's no evidence here, bro. You need more evidence. Do you get me? We don't believe you. You need more people. That's what they're saying. They're saying your evidence is weak. And now, you're in a misconduct hearing. My man can lose his job from this. You would have already known as an officer you don't have enough evidence. We all know kind of where the thresholds and the bars are. It's like, we need this much evidence. Do you get me? If you've got a little bit under, it's like, but you kind of know. Do you know how you know? Do you know the bar? The bar's the CPS. That's who the bar are. So if the CPS ring me and they go, yo, it's not making it, bro, it's not gonna make it, blah blah blah. And I'm the DPS. The DPS wouldn't have done that initial investigation, but they would know that it didn't meet the bar. And the CPS like, and I'm in the DPS. I'm investigating this officer, and I'm like, raw, I'm reading through it, and I'm like, raw, like, they said there's no evidence here, and I looked through it, and I'm thinking to myself, raw, there's no evidence here, there's not enough, there's just an allegation, there's no pictures, there's no scars, there's no corroborating witnesses, not third-party witnesses, not me saying I told my brethren that it happened, my brethren seeing it. That's the difference. There's a difference between this person telling this person, oh my God, he hit me, and this person being here and her getting boxed down and going, oh my days, you just hit her. There's a difference, yeah? And that's what the CPS want. The CPS want, they want the corroborating witnesses that were there, that can give you some added layers to evidence, not just, oh yeah, he told me, she told me. Where are we? However, there was some independent evidence pointing away from mum evidence in relation to a number of allegations as set out below. The included evidence from Google Maps, photos, WhatsApp messages. Mum's statement curiously made no reference to their efforts to reconcile their relationship. Oh my days, fam. Give me a second. So, what they're saying is that Mumsy, and I don't want this, I gotta be very careful in that who watches this, and I don't want people to feel vilified or demonized, and people be emotional with this kind of stuff, but it has to be spoken about because it is what it is. It's here in the public domain. Basically, they're saying Mumsy kind of forgot some evidence, or the DPS forgot some evidence. They forgot the parts where Mumsy was like, you know what, come, let's just be back together. I miss you. And what did the police officer do? The police officer just came out with the WhatsApp chats and went, bow, look, on Tuesday she said she wanted to be back with me. On Wednesday she said that she loves me. On Thursday she bought me a car. On Friday she showed up to the house with flowers. On Saturday she told me she loved me and that she's pretty. On Saturday, I'm making it up, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And that stuff, and the DPS will be aware of this. Because in part of the investigation, they would have downloaded her phone. So she either would have deleted it, or they knew and they deliberately omitted it. And if they deliberately omitted it, to me, that is corruption. Because what you're doing is you're deliberately hiding evidence which would weaken your case, and you've brought someone under misconduct, gross misconduct, to which they could lose their job, and you could destroy their name knowing that there was evidence to disprove this. Do they do that a lot? Do I think they do that a lot? Where did I get to? So he baited up the Google chats and the timelines and the WhatsApps and all of that. Some of this contact occurred shortly after allegation of violence had been made and was thus inconsistent with those allegations. The panel took this into account in determining the overall credibility of the allegation made by Mumsy. That the panel made some limited allowances for the conduct of officer because it was occurred in the context of previous loving but deteriorating relationships. So what they're saying is basically everyone's human. People are going to do bits of madness. Like, you're in a relationship with someone. Not everyone's happy all the time. So they're saying that we're going to make allowances. If he called you a stupid bitch, that happens in relationship. That happens in loving relationships. There'll be people that have been together for years and years and years and be like, yeah, she cussed me out, but deep down I know she loves me, and at that time that's how they felt, and they apologized after, and we don't talk like that to each other anymore, and blah 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 blah. So it's a thing. So it's not always, what they're basically saying is we're making allowances. It's not necessarily always definite abuse if someone has said something that wasn't necessarily appropriate all the time to everyone, because as humans we know we don't always act perfectly. We're not robots. People, it's called emotions. A number of Mumsy's families sorry, I laugh because I know what's coming. Pause. A number of Mumsy's family members had provided statements, but the panel did not consider that they had added any significant support and only limited cooperation in respect to the substantive allegations. Her sister considered that he would verbally overpower her and be condescending. Her son reported hearing Officer X shouting and swearing at Mumsy over minor matters including house chores and shopping. Yo, you man, trigger warning, innit? Her son considered she was scared of him, of the officer, and would sometimes hear her crying. He did recall officer saying he wished he had never had children with Mumsy, and that he wished that they were dead deep. This led to Mumsy leaving with the children in April 2020. Officer was alleged to have told Mumsy that if she ever left him, she would not see the daughter, which I find a bit weird considering that she left with the children. Officer denied making comments as alleged or at all. He stated that he had agreed a 50-50 share of parenting in the family proceedings. So, sorry, this is the response to the allegations. We'll get through this and we'll skip to the summary because it has to be done. Where are we? Well, I don't know how deep we are in this video, but it's worth watching because this is the kind of stuff that you see, and it's enlightening to see how the legally qualified chairs are breaking it all down and just going, that don't make sense, that don't make sense. I'll make allowances for that, I won't make allowances for that. So it's actually quite refreshing. The panel have reviewed that the evidence and determined that the AA had not discharged the burden upon it. So hey, let's reread that one more time. The panel have reviewed the evidence and determined that the appropriate authority, so in this case, the DPS, had not discharged the burden upon it. There was no independent evidence to support the allegation, but there was independent evidence to frequent contact between the parties, including their children, after Mumsy left the family home in April 2020. As noted above, this included photographs, Google timelines, all the WhatsApp chat, blah blah blah, the roses, the flowers, the love, blah 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 blah. Furthermore, the panel noted officer experienced and it reads a bit funny because the lines are weird. The officer experience and difficulties with his son. It's just poorly written. It's not me. I'm trying to read it the way they've written it. With his son in relation to care disputes and considered it unlikely he would have made such comments. The panel determined that even if the threat had been made, which it did not find on the balance of probabilities, and that's how they work the balance of probabilities, that it was a threat that had no substance, as Mumsy had not been prevented from seeing daughter and thus did not support the overall allegation of coercive and controlling behaviour. Woo! So they just broke it all down for you. They basically said, we don't believe you, you need more people. They're saying of the balance of things, the way that you continued your relationship after, the stuff that your son's saying, but then the stuff that you're doing after with your son, none of this married up. Yeah, none of it married up. And then on top of that, you don't have any ironclad evidence for me. You haven't got text messages of him saying and doing stuff that corroborate what you're saying. Allegation 2. My gosh, allegation 2. We'll skim through this quickly, else we're going to be here all day. It was alleged that officer would refuse to look after daughter when Mumsy wanted to go out. Officer X, officer denied that this occurred and did not prevent her from doing anything she wanted to do. He pointed out the reality of the care of the children, including breastfeeding 8 to 9 months and the onset of COVID restrictions, meant that a social life was difficult in any event. Officer said that he in fact encouraged her to go out and do her own thing from time to time, as he was concerned she was suffering from postnatal depression. Factual findings in relation to allegation 2. The panel, so this is what the panel was saying. So we're getting what he says, what the panel determined. The panel have reviewed the evidence and determined that the appropriate authority has not discharged the burden upon it. You've heard these words before now. There was no independent evidence to support the allegation. The panel noted that Miss A accepted that there was not much opportunity of her to go out. The panel preferred the evidence from the officer that due to the difficulties caused by COVID and that they were raising 2 young children, that there would have been limited opportunities for Mumsy to socialise in any event. In those circumstances, the panel did not consider that her evidence in relation to this aspect supported allegations of controlling and coercive behaviour. And do you know what? There's about 9 different allegations, and I'll just be real with you, it goes the same way every single time. There's no evidence of it. They don't believe it. Mumsy goes, oh yeah, actually, upon reflection, that kind of makes sense. And no, it's basically copy and paste all the way through. I'll go down. We can go to another allegation 5 because there's 9. I'll skip a couple, but the more interesting ones. Officer X. Oh wait. Allegation 5. In relation to allegation 5, it was alleged that while at a campsite in Great Yarmouth and during, so this is an important one, this is why I'm reading it, during an argument he grabbed her hair with one hand, pulled her around into the tent, causing her to fall backwards onto a double mattress. He had then put a hand round her throat for about 5 seconds, causing a bruise. He had only let her go when the son walked into the tent. The incident had occurred because the officer had shouted at child because he had been about to touch a kettle, and Mumsy did not believe the kettle was hot. Child had been cuddled by Mumsy, and Mumsy told officer that she should not shout at the child because the child is just a baby. So I assume it was a baby at the time. The appropriate authority produced a photograph of the alleged bruise to the neck to support the account. This item was not produced in the original bundle. So what they're saying is, actually, let me read the response before I tell you what they're saying. The officer's response was, the incident happened as alleged, denied it happened at all. He accepted that he went on holiday with Mumsy and then children, and that it was a good family holiday. He pointed out that they were staying in a busy campsite where such an altercation would not go unnoticed. Man said, listen, if I did all that madness, someone would have seen. Bring the film, Sanchez. Where's the film? Can someone press play on the film? Oh, we don't have any. Can you find anyone else that can corroborate this? No, you didn't have any. Does that mean it didn't happen? No, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Does that mean that the balance of probability would have happened? It means it's less likely that it's going to happen. Yo, shout out Tango, this drink is sick. The factual findings. The panel have reviewed the evidence and determined that the AA has not discharged the burden upon it. The panel determined there were a number of matters that affected their determination. Oh, how many times have we heard this? Just copy and paste. Mumsy did not attend for medical attention, nor was there any contemporary report to the police or any other party, i.e. didn't go to the feds, didn't go to the hospital. The evidence of the photograph was inconclusive. there appeared to the panel to be 2 marks on the neck on the photograph. So they're saying there was something there. The fact that she had taken 1 photograph of her neck was not, in the panel's view, conclusive that an assault had taken place, but she had been attempting to take a picture of her neck. They basically said, just because you took a picture of your neck don't mean you took the picture of your neck because you got injured. It means that you probably just took a picture of your neck. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that one. That is, I'm not a big fan of coincidences, and that seems a bit coincidency. Oh yeah, you just took a picture of your neck because... That notwithstanding, this alleged assault, that the family holiday continued for the rest of the week and further break was taken on the following weekend. So basically, you went out this week, you bust your ass, and then you went out again next week. That doesn't sound right. I mean, it can happen, don't get me wrong, but remember, they're operating off the balance of probability. So, yeah. The panel had been shown photographs of the family at the following weekend where they appeared happy and smiling. These events were inconsistent with Mumsy being the subject of assault in Great Yarmouth, particularly when she had her own separate property and thus would have been able to decline an invitation. Basically, they're saying, in fact, you had your own yard. You could have just ducked out and went to your yard and left him alone, didn't have to go next week, but you did go the week after. So you can't use the line, oh, well, I had no other choice. You could have just went to your yard. That's what they're saying. A photograph taken later in August, a few weeks after the incident, appeared to show Mumsy and... Oh, snap. Shows Mumsy and Officer kissing and appearing happy in each other's company. While this may have been part of an attempted reconciliation between the pair for the sake of the children, this was, in the panel's view, inconsistent with the serious assault that he had allegedly taken place just a few weeks earlier. Mumsy's evidence in relation to this was unsatisfactory. Her recall of these photographs and what was taking place at the time was, in the opinion of the panel, unclear and vague. In relation to allegation 6, we're not even going to do allegation 6, 7, 8 or 9 because you can get the gist of what's happened. At the end of the day, they're just like, I'm shouting, I'm sorry, let me take it down. At the end of the day, what they're saying is they're going, all of your evidence is non-evidence, it's just an allegation, and even if you have a smidgen of evidence, i.e. taking a picture, your picture then was totally slam dunked on because the next week you were out there lipsing him and doing a whole bunch of different stuff and trying to reconcile. And regardless of whether it was simply because you have children or not, it's just not consistent. And unfortunately, so although the burden of proof is down lower than when it's in court, you still got people that are used to being in court. So they're going to go, all right, cool. You don't need to 100% prove to me, but you do need to prove to me in some cases, and you need a linear line of events that they all make sense. You can't just be going here, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense. So, which is nice. Time for the summary, guys, because we're deep in. One more time. Shout out Tango, Dark Berry, sugar free. You man should be sponsoring me. It's actually sick, I ain't gonna lie. By way of summary, the panel did not consider the appropriate authority had discharged the burden upon the... How many times have we heard that sentence? To prove that the officer had acted in a coercive and controlling manner, generally or in relation to the matters set out above. While allegation 9, which we didn't get to, is admitted in part, the panel did not consider that this amounted to the breach of standard. I believe number 9 was him calling her a bitch, which he admitted to. Panel did... Where did we get to? Yeah, number 9. While allegation 9 had been admitted, blah, 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 blah. Based on the matters set out above, the panel did not consider that the allegations against Officer X were proven and therefore could not amount to misconduct or gross misconduct. Learning. While having no impact upon its findings set out above, the panel considered that this matter had generally been poorly investigated. Sorry. Do you know, I want to give that man a hug. Yo, if you're watching this, my bro, and I know you're old because you've been in the job for like 20 whatever years, I want to give you a hug. Because that would have been emotional. I just went through that with you, and that's just from these little bits. It's emotional, my bro. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Because I know the DPS didn't say sorry to you, so I'll say sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that, my bro. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. And you had to go through the whole family proceedings as well at the same time. Matters. In particular, the panel was surprised that the photographs of the alleged injuries to Mumsy had not been included in the original bundle and had been produced only in response to defence material during the course of the hearing. If that material had not been served by the defence, the panel understood that those photographs would not have been produced to the panel. What are they saying? They're saying, wait a second, what undermines you lot a little bit is that they brought your evidence here for us. They've done it for their reasons because they're like, well, look, you lot didn't even bring it, and then you tried to use it when you got here. Nah, B, you look incompetent, which I constantly say the DPS are. And don't get me wrong, it's not the DPS there standing arguing. They just bring the evidence. It's a barrister on behalf of the Met Police, but I don't care. To me, it's the DPS. Bun them. While the family proceedings had undoubtedly complicated matters, the police and the CPS had already determined that there was insufficient evidence to prefer criminal charges. I mean, I don't know if that's the word I'd use. In those circumstances, and in particular in the absence of independent evidence as to what had taken place, the panel considered it would have been prudent to obtain further independent evidence to support or contradict the allegations, such as photographic or mobile telephone evidence, as had eventually been produced by the defence. This had not been done by either party until a very late stage, and despite these matters being raised at a preliminary hearing, but may have resulted in the appropriate authority taking a different view as the allegation as a whole at an earlier stage. So what they're saying is, if you did your job a bit better, then maybe we would have looked at it a little bit differently. But from what you've given us, this pile of smelly poo-poo you just handed us is rubbish. And that's them nicely saying to the DPS, you're rubbish. Do better, fam. And that's all I'm saying about them too, because I think they're incompetent, they're rubbish, they're vindictive. I think parts of them are corrupt, liars, all of the rest of the bad words you want to use, I'm not going to say on the podcast. They're them. That's them. Do you get me? And they need to do better, and the commissioner needs to do better. He needs to reform them. In all honesty, what I asked for, they need to be dash out. You need to investigate every single one of them first of all, and then you need to dash them out and never allow them in those positions again, because they're incompetent. They can't do their jobs as a whole, generally. Individually, there may be some really, really good ones that catch people and do an amazing job, but collectively, dead food. Anyway, guys, I'm fully aware that probably took us an hour and I've missed out bits. If you want to go and see the rest, I'll add the link to the page. I'll also drop a quick 30-second grab of this, and I'll drop the link there so you lot can read it. And I think I've posted it already, but definitely go read through the rest of the allegations. I've got more videos like this for you guys. I've also got videos of the anonymous officers. I haven't posted them yet. I've got videos to come out with Janet Hill, the previous head of the National Black Police Officers Association, and there's a lot of stuff coming. Just bear with me, peeps, because life sometimes comes at you fast. Anyway, as I say, if anyone has watched this and it's triggered them, or anyone wants to reach out, blah 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 blah, holler at me on my Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Email address is on there too, so you can email me if you want. At the same time, if you're going through this kind of stuff now, gross misconduct or anything, and you need any advice, or you want to holler at me, as I always say at the end, or I try to remember to say, just shout me, or you can ring me on WhatsApp, don't use that, Instagram. Ring me on Instagram, on the Instagram thing, just hit the dial button. And if I see it ringing, I'll answer it. Right now I'm on Helldivers 2. If you ain't got Helldivers 2, what are you doing with your life? You need to be playing that game, because, you know, we need to instill democracy, you know, we need to survive, we need to save democracy, do you know what I'm saying? Bring that stuff to some other aliens. But yeah, anyway guys, this was a long one and a stressful one, but I hope you enjoyed it and you got a better insight into how these misconduct things work. Anywho, I'll be back next week. I'm going to post this video now because I said I was going to post another one in between, but we'll go with this one and I'll bring you some more later. Peace.